All right, Mike, we are live. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Happy Valentine's Day, Mike, and everybody out there.
Yep. Happy Valentine to all you folks out in listening land,
Well,
watching land.
yeah, as you mentioned last week, Mike, you thought, and I thought it was a great idea, that we should do a little bit of a review on Chris Kresser's most recent podcast, which talked about dairy and basically is dairy beneficial or harmful. And it was a great listen, and it was a great idea to review that.
Yeah, there is consistently this tug of war that goes on between is dairy good, is dairy harmful, should we use dairy substitutes? And Chris is one of the smartest guys out there. And having gone through his functional medicine course, he is up to date on everything that goes on. And he had a great podcast on Is Dairy Good for You? So we'll wait to the end to give you the the punchline here. But what were some of the things he was talking about, Noah?
Well, as with everything with Chris, he just dives deep. He's an
Mhm.
you can consider him an evolutionary biologist, or at least a primal type look practitioner who looks at how we evolved, and we aspire to that as well. But what he also does is look deep into the research, and he backs up everything he says and does, formulates with research. And I think I want to just keep this really simple today, Mike. And basically, it comes down to if you can tolerate dairy, it's beneficial for you. And you're far better off consuming a full fat dairy on top of that. And there's definitely nuances, and I'll talk about a few, but that's basically the gist of the whole thing as far as I'm concerned.
Uh, you hit it right on the head, and that's how Chris laid it out. Is that full fat dairy is actually beneficial for us. So within the guidelines of can you tolerate it? Now,
Right.
70% of the world's population cannot digest the uh,
Lactose.
lactose. You can use an enzyme, lactase, to help digest that. But if you can tolerate it, it's good for you.
Yeah,
Period.
some of the nuances he goes, even if you are lactose intolerant,
Mhm.
um, hard cheeses may be very tolerant for you. Fermented dairy like kefir may be very tolerable. Again, and those are like ultra nutrient dense foods.
Yeah.
So just because you may be lactose intolerant doesn't preclude dairy. So that's an important concept, I thought, as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And our old nutritionist would say that mozzarella was okay. Um, so very interesting. And there are ways of getting around that. So absolutely.
Yeah, and so then the question is, okay, so full fat dairy is what you should look for. So what are examples of non full fat dairy? Well, that would be no fat milk, primarily, and skim milk. Those are the two biggies right there, right? When you're
Yeah,
looking about non full fat.
yeah. Uh, it's funny. I went to the coffee house the other day, and the barista was making a cappuccino with non-fat half and half. Like,
What?
but that's an abomination.
Yeah, that's an
That's just
that's an oxymoron, let alone an
that's an
abomination.
that is an oxymoron. And when I went to drink it, I hadn't realized that it was non-fat and it was sweet, just like milk is. Milk's got about 22 grams of sugar in it, so I avoid sugar as much as possible. And I was just amazed at the taste. I was like, "Oh no, that's not for me." So she remade it.
And then um, some other dairies to consider would be full fat yogurt, right? It would be very very beneficial.
Yeah.
Kefir, the hard cheeses. I feel like I'm missing a dairy that would be very tolerable. Am I missing something? Not really, right? It would be full fat
No,
yogurt,
yo, yep.
full fat cheese, full fat milk, cream.
Yep.
and in all the fermented products, right?
Yeah, heavy whipping cream,
Heavy
um,
whipping cream.
which is amazing in tea and coffee. Uh, full fat yogurt is that's reasonable in sugar, not laden with sugars. Really, it's hard to find. Um, you can you can drop a little lohan in it to sweeten it up if it's plain. Otherwise, it's going to be really tart. But full fat yogurt is not a big seller apparently in a supermarket.
Yep. And and then some of the ways that you may find yourself if you're not tolerant would be obviously gastrointestinal stress and disorder, whether constipation or diarrhea. The other
Yep.
big thing too, it would be acne. And a
Yes.
lot of people say in our realm, if you suffer from acne, the first thing you should do is eliminate dairy for 30 days to see if it has an impact on your skin. And
Yep.
and that's a telltale sign that you could be intolerant of dairy.
Absolutely. 100%. Dairy is I think, the number one, other than the digestive issues, looking at dairy as the culprit in especially in teenagers in acne. So eliminate it for 30 days, see how you look, feel, and function.
Yep. So this podcast is like 45 full minutes of all these nuances. So we highly recommend you listen to it. The link will be in our weekly emails. You can subscribe to Revolution Health Radio podcast and his
Yep.
email and his YouTube channel. Highly recommend it. But this is the gist of dairy. And as we started off saying, basic concept is full fat dairy, and if you can tolerate it.
Yep, full fat dairy, and if you can tolerate it, that's really the two biggest takeaways. So have at it. Um, yeah, that's it. We're good.
All right, so next week we'll just review our Ask Us Anything and have another shout out for a call for questions. And then next Wednesday is actually our Ask Us Anything session, which will be
Yep.
6:15, and it'll run probably 30 minutes, and we'll answer the anywhere from 1 to 4 questions we have, and then send that out to the next day.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Bye,
All right.
guys.